is an island country in East Asia. It is situated in the northwest Pacific Ocean and is bordered on the west by the Sea of Japan, while extending from the Sea of Okhotsk in the north toward the East China Sea and Taiwan in the south. Japan is part of the Ring of Fire and spans an archipelago of 6,852 islands, covering 377,975 square kilometers. Hey fact friends, welcome back to another Whispered Facts episode, and welcome if this is your very first time here. Today we are covering the topic of Japan, and this was a viewer requested video. So if you have any requests yourself regarding countries or any other topic for that matter, just comment down below and I will see what I can do. So today we're talking all things related to Japan, and be sure to stick around until the end of the video when there will be a 5-question multiple choice quiz. So have a go at that and let me know how you get on. And just before we get started, I must warn you that there is a lot of wind outside where I am filming currently, so I apologize for that if you can hear any background noise. Okay, so without further ado, it's time to get comfortable, lay back, relax, and let yourself drift away as I whisper facts about Japan. The 5 main islands of Japan are, and I will do my best to pronounce these correctly, but let's have a go. They are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and Okinawa. Tokyo is the nation's capital and the largest city. Other major cities include Yokohama, Osaka, Nagoya, Sapporo, Fukuoka, Kobe, and Kyoto. And of the 5 islands, the only one I had heard of before was Okinawa, so it's good to learn what the other 4 are called. And of the cities, I had heard of only Yokohama and Osaka. Japan is the 11th most populous country in the world, as well as one of the most densely populated and urbanized. About 3/4 of the country's terrain is mountainous, concentrating its population of 125.44 million on narrow coastal plains. The Greater Tokyo area is the most populous metropolitan area in the world, with more than 37.4 million residents. Yeah, this is something that I learned during the Tokyo Olympic Games. That is a staggering amount of people to live in one city, 37.4 million. And to put that into perspective, I think New York City has a population of close to 9 million people and is one of, if not the biggest city in America, whilst Tokyo has 37.4 million. That is unbelievable. Japanese, the name Japan is Nihon or Nippon, which means land of the rising sun. It was once believed that Japan was the first country to see the sun rise in the east in the morning. Japan has the third longest life expectancy in the world, with men living to 81 years and women living to almost 88 years on average. 21% of the Japanese population is over the age of 65, the highest proportion in the world. There are more elderly than there are children in Japan today. Train stations in Japan have staff to shove people into the crammed trains because of the huge number of people living in the nation. And this brings us back to the population again. It's something I have seen on YouTube, and I can't even begin to imagine being on one of those trains. I really would not fancy that. I'm a person who enjoys my space. I don't like to get too close to people, and I don't like crowds. So that would be my idea of hell, pretty much. The post-war Japanese constitution has forbidden Japan from having an army. As a result of being unable to invest in the arms race, the central government has poured money into trains. In fact, many people have dubbed the bullet train research as Japan's space race. The Japanese eat more fish than any other people in the world, about 17 million tons per year. Japan is the world's largest importer of seafood, with shrimp comprising about 1/3 of the total, about 4 million tons a year. More than 20% of Japanese protein is obtained through fish and fish products. Sushi has been around since about the 2nd century AD. It started as a way to preserve fish in China and eventually made its way to Japan. The method of eating raw fish and rice began in the early 17th century. Sushi does not mean raw fish in Japanese. It actually means rice seasoned with vinegar, sugar, and salt. Raw fish, sliced and served alone without rice, is called sashimi. Over 2 billion manga, Japanese comic books, or graphic novels are sold in Japan each year. Additionally, anime or animated Japanese films and television shows account for 60% of the world's animation-based entertainment. Animation is so successful in Japan that there are almost 130 voice acting schools in the country. The nation has around 5.5 million vending machines, with one on almost every street corner. There are vending machines that sell beer, hot and cold canned coffee, cigarettes, wine, comic books, hot dogs, light bulbs, bags of rice, toilet paper, umbrellas, fish bait, fresh eggs, and much more. there's a vending machine for pretty much anything in Japan, and amongst the list were a number of items which I would rather not list, let's say, but you probably have an idea of what they would be. In Japan, Kentucky Fried Chicken is a typical Christmas Eve feast. The country has the second lowest homicide rate in the world, but it is also home to the spooky suicide forest, Aokigahara, at the base of Mount Fuji. It is the second most popular place in the world for suicides after San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. Wow, that is a spooky fact indeed. And the Golden Gate Bridge is well known as being a suicide hotspot in America. But there we go, the base of Mount Fuji is also one of the most popular places in the world for suicides. It's such a sad topic, but a very serious one. So if you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please seek help. There's absolutely no shame in it. All you have to do really is reach out to somebody. Japanese farmers produce square watermelons for the sake of ease of storing. It's quite a fun thing to imagine, a watermelon in the shape of a square. The world's shortest escalator is in the basement of Moore's department store in Kawasaki, Japan. It has only 5 steps and is 32.8 inches or 83.3 centimeters high. I can't even imagine what that would look like. It's hard to imagine really, but yeah, that is a very random fact, you would have to say. Crooked teeth are considered attractive in Japan, so much so that girls go to the dentist to have their teeth purposefully unstraightened. This is such a strange fact and something I have seen before, but hey, if it's a custom there, then you have to respect it, even if you don't necessarily understand it. Mount Fuji is the highest point in the nation, which stands at 3,776 meters. Shinjuku Station, Tokyo's main train station, is the busiest in the world, with over 2 million people passing through it every day. And as you can see, there are a lot of facts on this list regarding trains and train stations. So they are extremely popular in Japan, but I still can't imagine travelling on a train, having learnt the previous fact about there being staff specifically there to shove people onto the trains. It's mind-blowing to me. Japan has the world's shortest and one of the oldest national anthems. It is officially called Kimigayo, and that is spelled K-I-M-I-G-A-Y-O. Kimigayo, perhaps. I'm not very good at pronouncing these Japanese words, but I'm doing my best. It has only 4 lines that mean His Imperial Majesty's reign. The anthem traces its origin to an ancient Japanese poem written around 794 to 1185. % of all mobile phones sold in Japan are waterproof because the youth like to use them even while showering. Probably one of the stranger facts that we will hear today. I remember having a mobile phone around the mid-noughties and it was waterproof, but I'm extremely careful with my mobile phones, so there really wasn't any need to have a waterproof phone. I suppose it was just a sort of a gimmick that appealed to me at the time. 98% of adoptions that take place in Japan are of male adults, so family businesses can stay within those families. Japan is known as an industrial nation. It produces world-class machines, electronics, and vehicles. When Japanese people meet, they traditionally bow instead of shaking hands, and the lowest bow shows the deepest respect. Yeah, I think this is a pretty well-known fact. We've all seen it in movies and TV shows. And another fact that comes to mind is how it's traditional in Japan to remove your shoes when you enter someone's home. I think it's a sign of respect, and also to keep the home tidy as well. It's something we've seen in movies as well many times, no doubt. In Japan, Kit Kat candy bars come in flavors like grilled corn, Earl Grey tea, grape, and wasabi. The Japanese pronounce Kit Kat like Kito Katsu, which means you are sure to pass in Japanese, and so they make a popular gift to students during entrance exam season. There are 118 volcanoes in the nation. This number outlasts volcanoes in any other country and makes 10% of the world's total number of volcanoes. Meanwhile, Japan experiences approximately 1,500 earthquakes every year. Around 25 billion pairs of disposable chopsticks are used in Japan each year. This is equivalent to the timber needed to build 17,000 homes. I've always wanted to try to eat rice with chopsticks, which I know sounds very strange, but I've always wanted to try it just to see, as you often see people struggle in movies. So I would be curious to see if I could do it. Japanese love hotels are short-stay hotels mainly designed for amorous couples and are identified by the presence of heart symbols. They have different room rates, a rest rate, as well as an overnight rate. An estimated 2% of Japan's population visits one each day. considered good luck charms or omens of good luck. The country is located in one of the world's most perilous regions in terms of natural disasters. The entire country is in the treacherous Pacific Ring of Fire, an area that is highly susceptible to tectonic activities, leading to volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis. Japan has around 108 active volcanoes. Typhoons also strike the region. Catastrophic natural disasters have hit Japan several times in the past, but the Japanese people have always managed to rapidly recover and rebuild their nation. Yeah, and this is a fact that was touched on briefly a few minutes ago, but when I think about Japan, this is one of the things that immediately springs to mind: the amount of natural disasters that occur there. But there's nothing to be done about it other than deal with it when it happens. And of course, there have been many instances of destructive events occurring, but the country has always managed to bounce back quickly and rebuild the nation, so a huge respect for that. Sumo wrestling is the country's national sport. Sumo wrestling can be traced back almost 2,000 years. Wrestlers typically weigh 300 pounds or more. Younger sumo wrestlers are traditionally required to clean and bathe the veteran wrestlers, including all the hard-to-reach places. And I'm currently doing my best not to laugh at that fact, particularly the end part. You can't help but imagine it. Yeah, it's best we move on swiftly to the next fact. Godzilla, a huge monster resembling a dinosaur, made his film debut in 1954. In Japan, he is known as Gojira, where he rose from the sea after being awakened by atomic bomb testing and attacked Tokyo. Yeah, so I wasn't aware that Godzilla was Japanese originally, and I've never seen the 1954 version. I've only ever seen, I think it was a 1998 version, which has Matthew Broderick in it, and yeah, I quite enjoyed that movie. But yeah, it's another very interesting fact to pick up today. Baseball is the most popular sport in Japan. It was introduced by an American teacher named Horace Wilson. The first game was played in 1872 at Tokyo University. Japan has two professional baseball leagues, the Pacific and Central. The game is so popular that even high school games are broadcast on national TV. Yeah, I remember watching a Japanese game show of sorts called Takeshi's Castle. You may or may not have heard of it. It was back in the 80s, I believe, and it has a number of silly games, like ones that come to mind are Honeycomb Maze, Skipping Stones, etc. And one of the games involved wearing a huge baseball style outfit and attempting to catch a ball that was fired high into the sky. It was from that show that I learned just how popular baseball is in Brazil. Hello Kitty was born in Japan in 1974 as a plastic coin purse. More than 20,000 Hello Kitty products are on the market today, including toasters, instant noodles, credit cards, and even toilet paper. To her Japanese fans, she is known as Kitty-chan. In Japan, it is appropriate to slurp noodles, especially soba or buckwheat, when eating. Slurping indicates the dish is delicious. It also cools down the hot noodles. That sounds attractive. Crooked teeth and slurping noodles. It's just, you can't help but feel amused by some of these facts. But hey, every country is different. Every country has their way of doing things, so we have to be respectful and mindful of that. Origami, the art of folding paper, is often associated with Japanese culture. Origami aims to fold a plain sheet of paper into beautiful and interesting sculptures and intricate designs. Traditionally, origami has been practiced in Japan since the Edo period in the early 17th century. Cleaning of classrooms and cafeteria is a shared responsibility among Japanese students and teachers. And this is something I have heard of before, that the Japanese people are extremely mindful of cleanliness, and I've seen images of when people attend football matches over there, they actually stay behind at the end to help clean the stadium. So it's really seen as one of your responsibilities as a citizen to clean up behind you. So yeah, I think that's something we can all learn from and really respect as well. Japan is the largest automobile producer in the world, and the Japanese company Toyota is the third largest automaker in the world. It was founded by Kiichiro Toyota, who changed the da for ta because it sounds clearer. Also written in katakana script, Toyota uses 8 brushstrokes, a number considered to be lucky in Japan. Generally acknowledged to be the world's first novel, The Tale of Genji was written by a Japanese noblewoman, Murasaki Shikibu, in the early 11th century. The Japanese word banzai literally means 10,000 years and was traditionally used to wish the emperor a long life. Today, it is closer to a cheer like hip hip hooray. Travelers are often given a send-off at the train station or airport by a group of co-workers shouting banzai 3 times while raising their arms over their heads. This chant is also used at celebrations. he shouts Banzai to Daniel-san as he's leaving his house in the, I think it was a 1950s style yellow car. I'm not sure what make of car it was, but they do shout Banzai to each other at least 3 times each. So yeah, that fact reminds me of that. The Japanese avoid the number 4 because it sounds the same as the word death. Tall buildings do not have a 4th floor. Tea sets are sold with 5 cups. 3 or 5 is the desirable number of guests in a traditional Japanese tea ceremony. As a rule, odd numbers are preferred over even numbers in Japan. Karate is perhaps the best known martial arts form to have come out of Japan. It originated in China, but was refined in Okinawa. It literally means empty hands and uses trained movements of the hands, arms and legs for self-defense. An estimated 50 million people worldwide practice karate. The average height of men in Japan is 171.4 centimeters. Yeah, that's something that I associate with Japan, is that they aren't a tall nation. I'm quite short myself, so I think I would fit in well there. I'm around 170 centimeters in height, as it happens, which is 5'7". To this day, Japan is the only country to ever have a nuclear bomb detonated on its soil. Kumamoto was the original target of the atomic bomb dropped by the US Air Force on Hiroshima. On the day of the flight in April 1945, Kumamoto was covered in clouds and the bomber passed by it, dropping the bomb on Hiroshima instead. Japanese Ganguro, or blackface fashion, was started in the 1990s and has young women tanning their skin as dark as possible, bleaching their hair, and using extremely colourful makeup in contrast to the traditional Japanese pale-skinned, dark-haired standard of beauty. And finally, Japan has almost 3,000 McDonald's restaurants, the largest number in any country outside of the US. So the US has the most McDonald's restaurants in the world, and in fact I just googled the total and it's over 14,000, which is far and beyond any other nation, Japan being number 2 on the list. Okay guys, so that concludes the facts portion of this video, and now we move on to the 5 multiple choice questions based on the information you just heard. So I wish you the best of luck. Question 1. Sumo wrestling is Japan's national sport, which can be traced back almost how many years? Is it 1,500, 2,000, or 2,500? 500 years? Well, if you said almost 2,000 years, well done. You've got the first question correct. Question 2. What company was formed in Japan in 1974? Was it Hello Kitty, Toyota, or Mitsubishi? And the right answer there is Hello Kitty. So well done if you got that one correct. Moving on to question 3. Around how many pairs of disposable chopsticks are used in Japan each year? Is it 20 million, 25 million, or 35 million? And I've tried to catch you out there by purposely putting one answer significantly larger than the other two. Did you fall for it? Well, if you said 35 million, I'm sorry, but you fell into the trap. The right answer is in fact around 25 million. So well done if you got that one correct. And we have 2 questions remaining. So, question 4. Japanese farmers produce what shape of watermelons for the sake of ease of storing? Is it square, triangular, or rectangular? And I have to admit, they do look very strange to me, but if you said square, you are absolutely right. And finally, question 5. In Japan, Kentucky Fried Chicken is a typical meal eaten on what day of the year? Is it Easter Sunday, Valentine's Day, or Christmas Eve? And I do actually recall this fact from a Christmas facts video I made, and the correct answer is Christmas Eve. So well done if you finished the quiz with a correct answer. And that is just about it for this video, guys, but be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of the video and how you did on the quiz as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed putting it together and learning a lot more about Japan than I previously knew about the nation. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new around here and want to see more content like this in the future. But a huge thank you for joining me, and until next time, rest easy, sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video.